Once upon a time, in a common family east of Abyssinia, there was a little boy whose parents loved him very much. Unfortunately, they were part of the Maya people, no relation, meaning they had a native African religious background, making them a prime target for Christian and Muslim slavers because, hey, whether you plan on beating your slaves or quote-unquote enlightening them, better to do it to those filthy pagans. And so, one day, well, you know where this is going. So his parents make enough to get by, and Ambar, Chapu at the time, is carted around the Middle East getting passed from one man to the other, and things are kind of at a low point, but he perseveres until he arrives in the hands of Mir Qasim al-Baghdadi. Now, the guy was a literal slave driver, and changed Chapu's name to Ambar, which, yikes. But he gave him a pretty good education and helped him study the way of the blade, which, you know, pretty big risk nabbing a kid from 1,000 miles away and putting a weapon in his hands. It almost seemed like there was some kind of respect going on here, but nope. Mir Qasim sold him off to another trader for a tidy ROI. This time, Ambar was brought to India to serve his new master, Genghis Khan, no relation, who was an important minister of the Ahmadnagar Sultanate. Okay, I know I just lost the Euro fans. Think of medieval India as Renaissance Italy. Super rich, little itty bitty living space. And it turns out Genghis was also an African-descended former slave, so there was hope yet. However, Ambar was one of literally thousands of soldiers who got Joseph Konied by the same guy, so the odds of sticking out were slim. But Ambar can take it. If he was going to be a soldier, he was going to be the best fighter and strategist in the whole army. And with the constant struggle between neighboring sultanates, there was lots of opportunity to fight. And because the Mughal Empire had finally stopped yoinking everything in sight because of Humayun's shenanigans, there was lots of opportunities to actually win. Besides, somebody had to stand out, and we're not looking at the people who didn't, because I'm not a legitimate historian. Genghis is impressed by Ambar's strength and wit, so Ambar made it out of the world's deadliest mailroom metaphor and became his personal assistant, giving him even more experience with strategy and politics. Genghis actually politics so much he gets killed, meaning Ambar is finally free. But he is unemployed, so he gets some guys together to make a mercenary group and works a bit for the Regent Sultana Chand Bibi of Bijapur. She says, "Good job," and he gets the title Malik. I know, I thought it was a first name too. And then he goes back to Ahmadnagar, and surprise, it's Chand Bibi again. Turns out she's got underage relatives to lord over all over the place. But oh no, somebody invites the Mughals over, and now Humayun's son Akbar is on the throne, and things just got serious. Chand Bibi gets help from her nephew collection and goes all Joan of Arc on Akbar, but it turns out we live in the one timeline where she doesn't unite the Deccan Plateau into the League of Super Nephews, and instead gets killed by her own soldiers while she's trying to work out a peace deal. But Ambar? He can take it. In fact, he's gotten really good at making life difficult for the Mughals' supply chain, so even though he lost the capital, he manages to stop their advance long enough to wrangle together what's left of the country and install his very own puppet sultan. At least until the puppet gets tired of being a puppet and Ambar shows him how well a puppet does without its strings. He kills him. It's a metaphor for execution. Equally unhappy is the new Mughal emperor when he finds out Ambar's found a way to use guerrilla warfare on offense and retake the whole of Ahmadnagar and then some, and there was nothing that all of this could do about it. And just to rub it in, Ambar establishes a new capital like this close to the border, and he builds all these forts and fixes the tax codes, makes some aqueducts just to make the Sultanate richer and more tempting, but just out of reach. Until he loses a single battle, and Bijapur concludes Mughal conquest is inevitable, and therefore he needs to help the Dark One speed it along, so Ambar is fighting a war on two fronts. But you know what? He can take it. He lures both armies to the same spot, floods the valley they're in, and sends in raids from the high ground every night to make sure nobody can sleep. Also, the man's doing this in his 70s. He's been screwing with the Mughals for decades. But it's like 1600 and there aren't a whole lot of 80-year-olds running around, so he kicks the bucket and passes the torch to his son, who isn't nearly as capable, and the entire Sultanate gets gobbled within a decade. But not by either of these two losers. You did it! Videos every 2 weeks. Goodness, there are a lot of you. Thank you all. If you're not part of the crew and you want to help us reach our goal of a solid week of videos, we're just 10% away, and now's your last chance to have 200% of your donation sent to these charities. Thanks for watching to the end. I'll see you in 2 weeks. No, sooner than that, because you also got weekly live streams. Okay, bye.